Welcome back to the channel, guys. Appreciate you guys clicking on here this afternoon or morning, whenever it is you might be watching this. Captain Cody Davis hanging out with you guys again for another one, soaking up the AC here in the house as opposed to rigging my rods and getting my tackle ready for tomorrow out in the boat, outside. It is just far too uncomfortable out there. Even at 9:30 at night, it's still 88 degrees, buggy, humid, just nasty. So we're doing it in here. And while I'm getting these rods ready for tomorrow, just got done rigging up a swim bait, a way that I like to do it. And I had some people recently comment on it and say, man, I've never seen that done before. It's a really good idea. And I thought that everybody and their brother knew about it, but just thought I'd showcase it to you guys because it's definitely been catching me some fish, and it's really been catching me fish. Really over the last couple of years, I've been utilizing this rigging technique and what have you, and more specifically this bait. But yeah, I'm just going to show it to you guys. So with it being middle of summer, with the water being very low here on Lake Okeechobee and also being very hot, water temps in the 90s are what we're basically starting out with in the morning at 6 a.m. 88, 89, 90 degree water, and getting up to the mid 90s by the middle of the day. We're having to switch up how we're fishing and how we're approaching these fish and catching these fish out here on Okeechobee. And it's a lot of times it's a little bit different than the way that we traditionally do it because of the changing conditions. And that means different presentations, different areas as a whole, different bait selection. So this one is one that works very well. So you guys have probably heard me talk about this bait a lot here on the channel. This is the K-tail swim bait by the company NLBN, no live bait needed. Really great guys. I grew up fishing with them. And they've really made a big splash over on the snook and tarpon scene over on the coast. But they're also catching, their baits catch everything that swims. They make an array of different presentations, different baits, I should say, from shrimp tails, just paddle tail swim baits, a couple of different models. And then this is their K-tail that comes in a number of different sizes. This is the 5-inch version. They have a 7, they have a 9, they have a 4. This is a little pack of the 4s. And what I'm going to show you guys, you could do this with any of them. And what makes this bait so special is Brandon over there. He's a snook guy, right? That's how I know him. And one thing that you do when you're snook fishing is you stand on top of lighted structures, whether it be a jetty, a bridge, a seawall, at wee hours of the night, and you constantly watch bait fish swim by. So you get a very good idea as how the natural swimming motion of a bait fish is, i.e. a mullet, which is kind of what this is designed to look like, ladyfish, what have you. And I say it time and time again, this bait has the most natural swimming action out of pretty much any bait you're going to come across, which makes it really special. And what really makes it special is how true it swims and how great it swims on a slow retrieve and on an unweighted hook. A lot of swim baits out there on the market, if they're not weighted, they'll tend to roll. They won't swim true unless they have a belly weight. This thing can be fished on this 5/0. This is actually the hook they built it around. This is a BKK Titan Rider 5/0 spring lock hook. That's what this bait is kind of more or less designed to throw it on. And I do use this bait if I'm throwing it, or this hook with this bait if I'm throwing it around grass, in the Kissimmee grass here, or if I'm snook fishing, skipping it under docks, down seawalls, what have you. But that is not how we're going to do it today. So what we've been doing is I've been throwing this guy just in the rim canal, more open water situations out here on Okeechobee. And with it being open, I don't necessarily need to horse the fish, right? So I'm throwing this on a little bit lighter line right now, kind of a finesse swim bait system. I'm throwing it on 17 or 20 pound fluoro, but that's light for us on Okeechobee. I'm actually fishing this with a treble hook. So a lot of you have probably already seen this, but for those that haven't, I'm just going to go ahead and showcase to you guys what you need. Really all you need is a swim bait. And then the perfect thing, which I just don't have any, I'm actually going to stop at a 7-Eleven and rob a couple in the morning. I'm not going to rob something. I am going to get coffee on my way to the ramp. But I'm going to get some coffee stirrers. These are just little plastic straws out of like a spray bottle that I'm going to use right now. But essentially, oh, there it is. I thought it just disappeared. I thought the fishing gods took it from me. This is just a little clear piece of plastic. It won't focus. Dropping stuff for high quality here at Tight Splice Charters with my production. So you guys can see it's just a little plastic straw. A coffee stir, the little red straws that go on like the end of a WD-40 can will work, but coffee stir is your best bet. And all you're going to do is you're going to take a pair of scissors, cut it into about a 2 or 3 inch piece. This one might actually even be a little bit too big. We'll use this little one. I got a couple cut here. And what I do is I cut one end at a 45 right there. So you can see that. It's obviously hollow in the middle. And then you don't have to do this part, but this is just what I do. I take a big hook like so, and all I'm going to do is poke it just like you're going to rig it. This would be a spring lock, so you wouldn't rig it this way. But if you're just going to like Texas rig this bait, you're going to poke the point of the hook into the bait. You're going to run it through and pop it out just like that. All right, so this is a, like a hollow body. It's got a slit in it, but the nose on this bait is very hard to hold up, to be very durable and what have you, whatnot. So then I'm literally just going to pull it right back out. All right, my camera's shaking. Then you're going to take this, you can wet it, and you're just going to put it right in that little weakened area, that little spot you just did. You're going to push it through, slightly angling it down because you want it to come out kind of right in here in the neck portion of this bait, like so. You could put a little dab of super glue on there if you want to hold that straw in place, but realistically, I don't really think you need it. I typically don't do it. Then I'll kind of feel if it came out in the right spot, and it did. Luckily for you guys, I already had this done. Like I said, I didn't plan on making this video. So here would be your finished product. So all you're going to do is, I can walk you guys through this. I can be a good content creator. So you got, this is 20-pound fluorocarbon on here. All right, and I've got that piece of plastic lodged in there. You can't even see it, but you just kind of guesstimate where it is, and you'll feel right there. This just found the little piercing where it was. Nope. There. It's in there. You're just going to push this all the way through until that line comes out. All right. Now you can experiment with treble hook sizes. This is a Mustad, or is this a Gamakatsu? Either way, I think this is a size 1 treble. I think this one's actually a Gamakatsu, like a 1X. Or might be a Mustad. I don't remember. It's just good. It's a triple grip type of treb on there. I'm not throwing a real thick gauge one. You can for sure. If I was throwing it around some heavier cover, if I was doing this for fish like snook and tarpon, I would definitely beef up the gauge of the treble hook I was using. But for this, I'm going to be bass fishing in wide open water, kind of some offshore structure. This is all I need. The thinner the wire, the easier you're going to get a hook up. And yeah. So what you want to do is tie the hook on. I just tie a uni knot. I use a uni knot with 65-pound braid with 4-pound fluorocarbon. Everything I do, I use a uni. 5 wraps. Make sure you wet it. Slide that down. With this particular deal, I really like to cut my tag end very short. So have a knot on there that you trust. Make sure you tie a good knot. And then, this is somewhat important. On a treble hook, there's always going to be, all right, so you're going to have one odd guy sticking off, and if you look down the shank of the hook towards the eye's going to lay totally flat on one of these hooks. This one, obviously it's not. It's at a 45. This one, it's flat. So I'm going to use that one. Now I lost it. And here's the deal. With most swim baits, whether it's like a Big Easy or like a Kitech or something, you can just put it right in the middle. I've played around with this quite a bit. what I like to do is run this bait, this hook, all the way back, and on this K-tail, it's got like this real realistic little belly, this little anal fin, this little ridge right here tucked up to the anal fin. That's where I want to put that treb. So I take one, I go in at a 45 right in the ridge of that belly, hook it as straight as possible. I just messed that up. Run it right up in there nice and tight, and then you just pull this tight, and voila. That bait will swim. My camera is so shaky on this table. That bait will swim so perfect. Now, the only issue or the only adjustment I might make is I might put a little 16th, a very little weight on the nose, like a sliding weight on the nose of this bait, just to help it sink a little faster. This bait is fairly heavy for what it is. So it takes a little while to sink. Depending on where I'm going to be fishing tomorrow, I might try some little bit deeper holes in the rim canal. It'll just, make my bait get down in the water column faster, but it's still going to run true. But the beauty of this thing is you don't need a weight on it at all, just its natural weight. This thing swims awesome. Now, you might ask, what's the point of the treble hook? Couple of things. One, if we're dealing with very finicky, very pressured fish, sometimes you have the chance of them inhaling the bait but not holding on to it, which if you're throwing it on an EWG style hook, it's better to kind of let the fish load up on the bait and then, reel down and set the hook. These fish almost just have to come up and kiss this bait, and they're going to get this treble hook. On top of that, running the hook on the bottom helps that as well. These fish come up from the bottom and kiss it. They're going to grab that point of that hook. The hook's further back on the bait, so when they come up and grab from behind, the hook's going to be a little bit deeper in them. But the biggest thing is when you set the hook, the hook comes out, and this bait's going to slide up your line. It's going to slide up and down, so that fish can't use the weight of the bait to throw your hook. You almost land every single one of them, and it just really, really increases your chances. So you could do this with any swim bait. You could do this with your Gambler Big Easy. You could do it with a Kitech. You could do it with a really cheap solid body swim bait. But I really like this K-tail for this. This thing just swims so good. It looks pretty realistic. This is kind of a crazy color. I've got some bigger ones in like this more translucent shaddy color, and that's what we're going to be throwing this at. Is some fish that are eating some gizzard, hunting some gizzard shad. Now, what I've got this rigged on, like I said, this is 20-pound fluorocarbon. This is actually my 7.6 chatter trap Senko Sticks rod here. So it's got like you would think you want this on a stiffer rod, but with that treble hook bait, you almost just kind of reel into them. So as you're swimming it, it'll just be a doink, continue just to reel in, and it's just kind of a sweeping, like a chatterbait style hook set. That parabolic rod helps if the fish jumps, it just keeps that thing pinned in there. And this rod throws this bait great. Now, again, if I was doing this around some heavier cover, or maybe I was throwing that EWG style hook, I might be throwing it on braid. Or if I was throwing it on fluorocarbon, I would definitely be throwing it on a stiffer, faster rod. But this works great. This is a 6/8-to-1 reel. The beauty of this bait is how slow. I mean, this thing, that tail will just kick, and the bait will be moving ever so slow, and it still holds true. It doesn't want to roll. I think that's what gets this bait a lot more bites. So I'm throwing it on a little bit slower reel, and we're going to see if that guy will get the juice. Give it a shot. It works for everything. A lot of you probably already know about this technique. I apologize if you didn't. I just wasted 14 minutes of your day. But we're going to see if we can't get tight with this guy on Lake Okeechobee tomorrow. So wish me luck, and tie lines, guys.